I'm curious to know what's your perspective on where do you think marketing is going, because technology's taking over and marketing is always evolving. So
Hmm.
where do you see it going in the next 5 years, maybe 10 years?
That's good. I think in the next 10 years, everyone is going to be a content creator if they're not already.
Really?
I don't give a crap what
Okay.
you're doing.
You think it's going to be a necessity?
Yeah, I think it kind of is now. Like, I think it's a good idea to get in front of people
Mhm.
and showcase your skill set and what makes you unique. I think that's super important right now. It's the best way to kind of stand out in a saturated market. But also, I just think that everything is online,
Yeah.
and I don't know where we're going forward, but I feel like people are still going to spend more time on their computers and
Okay.
on their phones. And so being able to get in front of them in that way is going to just be beneficial to anybody's business. But the reason why I say content creation is taking over because now everyone is making content. Everybody is an influencer
Yeah.
and all this stuff, which is fine. Do your thing, but I think that people are, because you have all these different positions now and ways to make money just by showing your face online. I think people are gonna keep pouring into that and kind of taking advantage of that space. What I hope to see is that they do it in a way that is actually helpful to the audience and not just doing it because it, you know,
Make money.
yeah, just
Yeah,
to make
quick,
money.
quick
Because
buck.
yeah, because then we're gonna be the people, like, how people are like, oh, I'm tired of seeing commercials everywhere. Rah, 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 I can't enjoy my video. We're gonna be those people if we go that direction.
Yeah,
It's like it won't be a commercial; it'll be my face
right.
going, "Hey, bop, 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 bop," and it's like, dang, I'm trying to watch this video. Why she
Yeah.
popping up? So I think it's important that we just kind of focus on the people and what our audience actually wants, and have a purpose to what we're online for. I think is ideal.
Mhm.
I think that's just gonna make things a lot better and people will be able to enjoy it more. Like if you just want to entertain, okay, cool, then do that. But I don't know. I just think that it could get a little crazy where we'll
Yeah.
be the commercials and the advertisement, and that's kind of like not ideal.
Yeah, I can see. I mean, cable's dying.
Yeah.
Nobody really buys cable and watches TV anymore.
Sports.
They watch YouTube more than anything, or just sports.
Yeah,
but
just mostly
but
sports.
out of just watching something for humor, they're on YouTube more.
Yep.
Even comedians don't. They use YouTube. Everybody's using YouTube.
Yep.
So I can definitely see that that's the future of just
Yeah.
people providing the content.
Yep. Everyone's going to be content creators and we're going to just be eating it up, being consumers. And I don't think that that is a bad thing. I think that that's good, but I think it could be bad. It just
Yeah.
depends on, how we
I'm
use
glad
it.
you mentioned. I think it could be bad in the sense because even now, you have a lot of content creators out there, but I'll say it's a lot of them that are not, either don't have credentials or they're not well versed in what they actually do. So what happens is they start to mislead their audience and say, I can show you how to do this and do that, but they have really very little experience.
Yes.
Telling
Like
you
I'll
to do
give
a
you an
scam,
example.
PPP
Yeah.
loans.
So I'll give you an example. There's a really young couple. They were only like 19 or 20. And they had, I guess, they had did a major real estate investment the year prior. And it was successful. So they thought they were ready to teach people how to do it, where it's like, well, your first deal was a success. So you haven't been through the ebbs and flows to really teach people what's the good, the bad, and what's the ugly of it. So I think that's a problem I notice now. There's a lot of
Yes.
people that say, I did it this one time, now I'm ready to teach everybody and sell courses and
Right
all
now
of
I'm ready
that.
to be a guru.
Yeah.
Yeah, guru,
Buy my
yeah.
class. It was like, wait a
Like,
minute.
yeah. So how do you separate yourself from that as a content creator? Separating yourself and closing out the noise as far as other people around that basically kind of do the same thing you do, but also make yourself stand out as far as knowing that you're credentialed, you're well versed in what you do.
So for me, with J Studios, I like to teach what I know and what I've experienced. And when I'm talking to people, I let them know this is what my experience is. And I may share a story of a few others that I've spoken with and what their experiences are. But I try to let people know that the information I'm giving you is good information, but it may not be the only way. So I'm encouraging you to go out there and look and do your own research and find other ways in case this way may not make sense to you. But what I will give you is I'll give you data, I'll give you numbers. That's my thing because You gotta listen to, how I feel about something, but if the numbers speak and they tell a story and it's what you want to hear, then that's what you go with. But I always encourage people to do their own research. The biggest thing is just to educate people so that way they know what the heck is going on in the marketing space and in the social media space. You don't have to be an expert to run your business, but I do encourage people to know more about it so that someone doesn't show up and go, "Hey, I got 10,000 followers in 3 days. Pay me $2,000 and I'll do it for your account." I don't want people falling for that, So my goal is to make sure I'm always educating. And if it's something I don't know, point them in the direction of someone who does, or let them know, "Hey, I'm not sure about it, but here's something I've been looking up." Just kind of being super transparent. I'm a very open person, especially when it comes to that, because I want people at the end of the day to just be educated. That's the biggest thing, is making sure they have the information so they can make their own decisions.
So if I'm a client, say I'm a brand new client, I come to J Studios, what's the first thing that you typically do with that client?
The first thing we do is just have a conversation. I need to know what it is you're looking for. What are your goals? I'd like to know why you started your business or your brand in the first place. And I also like to know what your vision is for the business. What are you trying to do? And I can be a little picky because my business is still small, I guess. I intend to be picky for a long time. But for me, I don't want the answer to be, I want to make money. Because, all right, cool. Everybody wants to do that. How do you want to impact your community? How do you want to impact the world? That's a very specific question for me when I talk to people. And the people that I do work with, they all have bigger goals and desires for their brand and their business. They either want to, teach young kids how to, develop and how to manage themselves in like the e-gaming space and stuff like that. Just something that is more impactful. They may want to be a testimony and go, I want to show, like my family members, that they can start their own business. They can get wealth in this type of way as opposed to, the traditional way. Whatever it is, I like to know how they, why they want to do this, what their desire is and their overall goal, and how they want to impact the community. That's a big piece. And then, so we go over goals. I go over what their challenges are, like what sucks. What's hard for you? What is it that you don't understand? And then I ask them, how can I help with that? What are they expecting out of me? Because it may not be what I offer.
Okay.
So sometimes people call, and they just want a bunch of followers. I don't do that. You know what I mean? Like that. That's just not my expertise, because followers don't convert into money. So I don't really, that doesn't really connect for me. So, and I'll be able to say that. So pretty much we just have an open discussion. I just like to know, what motivates them, and the things that they do get excited about versus the things that they don't when it comes to their business. And so that I can figure out the best way that I can be of service with that.
So I'm not too familiar with marketing. So how do you measure success then? So if I'm coming to you, say, hey, I want to grow my company, what's that number? How do you measure that you were actually successful in this campaign?
So we measure it with analytics and data. So, and conversions. So let's say that your goal is to book 2 yoga clients a month, right? We go over strategy. We go over how to do that. We go over how to get people in front of your business, and get you in front of the audience. Excuse me. And then at the end of the month, we go, okay. We don't just check, did you book those clients? We check, how many leads did you get? How many people did you get calling in? Because before we started working together, if you only got 1 call every 3 months and now you got 2 calls a month, we're cooking with gas. Something's working. Let's go figure out what that is and let's duplicate it. Let's do it again and let's add some other stuff and keep moving till we hit what we need to hit. Okay. So it's all numbers. It's always at the beginning, I go, what are your goals? And then I turn those goals into it's called KPIs. I'm blanking on, what a key. Oh gosh, I gotta pull it up. I'm sorry. Indicators. Okay, we're gonna edit it.
Performance indicators. Okay,
key performance indicators, and that is how I get. That's how I know how we're gonna measure it. So if we want conversions, that means we need leads first. We need people to come in through either a funnel or something like that. So I need to count how many people came in, how many called and asked about this, how many people hit your DM and said I'm interested. Now whether they went with you or not, I still need to count all of those things. When it comes to social media, we look at analytics for that too. So it's like I have contractors sometimes that help me when the budget's right. Okay. But so it's like, okay, I want to be, I want people to recognize me as a leader in this particular field. I want them to know to look at me as the person that knows everything about podcasting. Okay, great. Wonderful goal. Well, how many people are sharing your content that you post? Because sharing means that they find it helpful and they want to give it to someone else. Now we know they're looking at you as an expert. How many people are watching your videos multiple times, and how long are they watching them? Are they commenting? What are they saying? Are they asking questions? So those are the things that you track when it comes to like the actual analytics and numbers to get a story of how things are performing and making sure that they're aligned with your particular goal.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I hope that makes
sense. So do you also jump into the TikTok space?
So I'm now jumping into the TikTok space. I'm not gonna lie. At first, I was like, I don't like no TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm not about to be dancing.
That's what I think of every time I hear TikTok. I'm just thinking dancing.
Yeah, it's so much more than that. The dancing part is fun. It brings me much entertainment. But there's a lot. So I went into TikTok one day and I put in the hashtag like branding and marketing or something. And I was like, wait, there's other stuff on here besides dancing? Oh my God. So TikTok's full of things. What it is just short form content. Okay. Everyone has one. TikTok's like the most popular, but YouTube has shorts, Instagram has reels. It's just a new way that we take in information. Of course, the most entertaining and funny things usually lead, but that's not the only thing that's in that space. And the beauty of TikTok now that I'm in that space is that you get so much reach so fast. Like you don't even have to have your page for that long, but if you put something on there, it's good, and you got your hashtag on there, a lot of people are going to see it just organically, which you don't really see that too much in the other spaces like that. A lot of that stuff is like controlled and suppressed, but on TikTok, it's like the reach is crazy. So it's the perfect place, I think. I think everyone should give TikTok a go. Even if you think like, oh, I have people that say I'm too old for TikTok. No, you're not. There's all kinds of people on TikTok. You just see the people popping lock it, you know what I'm saying, or dropping it low. That's not all of TikTok. There's other stuff in TikTok. You can just think of it as a place where you can take your content and just put it in a short form to get information to people quickly or entertainment to people quickly so that they can consume it while they're at work or when they're on the train or whatever. And yeah, I think it's a great space. I'm just now tapping into it. Also, some of my clients, they will want to be on TikTok, so that kind of forced me to learn it because I'm like, all right, I gotta help out, so I need to know what I'm talking about. But now I actually love it. I love short form content in general because it allows. I'm seeing so much creativity in the short form content space where you have people who are like learning how to like film and pay attention to lighting, and you have people like acting because they're doing like little skits of things they thought was funny, but they're doing the different roles and the positions, and then ultimately I'm seeing them, next thing you know, they're on TV somewhere, acting on a show, and I'm like, who knew? Like, if this person didn't have this outlet, they may have never been able to get into this space of acting or get into this space of even being a musician, right? Like, TikTok is amazing for musicians. I've found out about so many artists just because I'm on TikTok and it's a sound bite and it's popular and I keep hearing it, so I'm singing it. And then it's on the radio. I'm like, oh, that was an actual song. So like a lot of people are getting reach from that and getting exposure. So it's kind of changing the game up a little bit. I think
So for example, using Joe's company for the guinea pig. So he has a videography company, but he wants to broaden his horizons and bring in more clients. So what would you do for his company as far as like TikTok or Instagram? How would you go about that?
So first I would want to know kind of who, or help him define who his audience is and who he wants his audience to be on TikTok, because that's going to determine what kind of videos he shoot. If it's people that are looking to film also, then maybe it'll be more educational pieces. If you just want to show some sexy like B-roll and some slow motion, then we'll work on just doing stuff that's more entertaining and that's more visual to the eye. So it just depends on who you're talking to. But what I would say is, if you already have, especially if you're doing video already, think of it as taking what you have and condensing it, making it into like short form pieces to get the information out to people and lead them back to something.
So let's just say, for example, it's another small business. Let's say it's a real estate agent. Maybe I'm trying to get more real estate agents so I can do their listing videos and stuff like that. So you were saying basically I would take maybe some of my portfolio content and just repackage it out there.
Repackage it on TikTok is a good way to get them over to wherever if you're using your portfolio.
Real estate video or something like that.
Right. So that's something you can put up on there and get those, sexy little slow-mos and everything people are looking for. Is a great space. Another thing that you could do is maybe show your setup. in your behind the scenes and let people know kind of what goes into it, because they may be like, oh, I want to hire this guy, but I've never done this before. I don't know how it is. I'm nervous. Maybe, it requires all these moving pieces or a lot of space that I don't have. No, if they can see what the environment looks like, it's like, okay, this looks pretty cool, looks pretty easy. Let me go ahead and move. So you would just want to show people kind of all of the different aspects of what you do and why they should pretty much pick you. Like, what is it about your style, or maybe it's something about your professionalism and how you handle your clients and how quickly you deliver the work. Whatever those things are good things to highlight. And then, so it depends on what you're trying to go for. So all of those are great, but let's say you're like, no, I want to educate people on certain ways they could style their house or something like that. Then, you could include that education piece. So yeah, there's a few ways you could do it, but definitely getting your portfolio up there is probably going to be the easiest and quickest way.
Okay.
So people can see what you do and just push that. But I also would do letting people know what the setups look like, letting them know what your equipment is. Because people, when they see that professional equipment, they're like, oh, this is a production. Yeah. You ever get people walking and be like, oh, it's one of those. Yes, it is. That's why the price tag is what it is.
Right.
So it's good to show those things.
Yeah, I think it's funny being on some shoots, some people's perception of equipment, because now a lot of the cameras, are getting smaller versus old school format cameras are larger.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if we're gonna get to the point where people start using their phones or something, or GoPro, but it's like, I think sometimes when you still come in with that larger, you have your smaller cameras, but you come in with that larger camera too. People are like, oh, they're serious then.
Right.
They see that larger camera.
It's like a DJ. If you see somebody just come in with just a laptop, you're like, oh, that's it? I guess. It's like, where's your boards? Even though they probably don't use them nowadays.
Yeah, but where's your
it validates like,
or
oh,
something?
yeah, he's legit. He or she is legit.
So let's say you have a client that's maybe not well versed in social media, and they say, hey, I want to go. Let's say somebody that's a little older, and they want to go the old school route, saying, hey, I want to do some email marketing. How would you handle that client?
Well, email marketing, even though it's super old, it's actually one of the best ways as far as like conversions and how many people actually buy stuff from their email.
Okay.
I don't know the numbers right now, but it's actually pretty successful. So email marketing, I think, is something that ultimately every business or brand should invest in at some point. You may not be ready right away, but it's one of those things that's never going to go away. Social media, we don't own social media. It could go away at any moment. Email will be around forever. I mean, we don't own emails either, but they are ours and they've been around forever. But, Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff could go crazy, and, you wouldn't have that connection to your people anymore. But with email marketing, you can contact them directly no matter what's going on. And there are numbers. I wish I knew them. I probably should have wrote down some stats. But yeah, the conversion rates on emails is actually pretty good as far as how many people buy things, especially courses and classes and things like that. So I think that that's a great thing to start off with. And I would just, again, start with identifying their audience, who they want to connect with, and what kind of content they want to put in their email. If they, well, I'm not going to judge, but, just depending on the demographics, they may want to talk about certain things in their email, or they may just want to do like highlights of like, oh, okay, I'm having this class, and this is the email is just letting you know what classes are going on. Or it could be, hey, this email is to break down 10 steps to, purchasing real estate or closing a deal or something like that. So we would walk through similar things, only it would be from an email marketing standpoint, as far as like what kind of content we would create would be different, and probably scheduling and how often it goes out, and creating the funnel strategy to kind of lead people, take the leads and convert them over. It would be a little different from social media, but I think it's a great idea. Email marketing is fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What other forms of marketing have you seen as technology evolves? I'm starting to see, I've seen it for actually real estate agents, lawyers, where there's these digital business cards, but you open it and a video actually plays.
Yes.
I just found out about that.
Do you scan it, or how's it work?
I don't know, but I was trying to find out more information about it, because I was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I know it's probably pretty expensive too. So, you hand that out, like you hand out a business card to somebody, throw it in the trash. Okay. But if somebody takes a video card, I'm like, oh, I hope they don't throw that in the garbage, So as technology continues to evolve, how are you staying ahead as far as, especially because now we have automated things coming out, AI, machine learning. what are you doing to kind of stay ahead of the game and stay ahead of the curve so you can service your customers in the best way?
I love research. That's like my favorite thing in the world to do. I just go down these rabbit holes of information, stored in my brain in case I need it for later. So just doing a lot of research on what's out there, what's being used. I have a lot of resources I like to use. Social media, the social media podcast is really good. I like to use that. There is a woman that I follow who has a great mentoring program that I will join one of these days. King Ashley Ann. She's really good at giving out a lot of information on the different types of ways to market to people and the different ways that are being used right now. So one of my favorite ways that's kind of new is like text message marketing. I've been seeing that pop up a lot in a lot of the spaces, or a lot of the groups that I'm in. And I love it because it's more of a community thing where it's like, well, if it's done right, it's like, hey, I'm sending you this information to let you know that I'm going live, but I could also text you and say, hey, I know we just started a new year. Don't stress out about it. Remember your goals. Keep it, keep going, and just kind of connect with that person, every so often from a text message to just kind of let them know like, hey, I'm thinking about y'all and we all in this together kind of thing. I like that a lot. So I've been seeing that done a lot in the community space, and it's effective. I bought a lot of stuff from text message. I mean, not directly from the message, but the message pop up, I click it, I go to the thing and go, oh, $7, and then I buy it. So that seems to be picking up, and I like it. I like it when it's done right and it feels personable. I like it a lot. As far as AI, this whole like, first of all, I'm a tech person, so like I love the AI space with the like paintings that are being done and captions that are being created by the computer and stuff. I think it's cool as hell. I think it's super dope. It's a little scary because then people aren't adding that authenticity anymore to what they're doing. And so now you're getting this information from a person that they could have had a computer type it up. So now it sounds like they talking to you, but they, there's really no authenticity in it. So eventually everyone will start to sound the same and everything will look the same. That's a problem. That's where things can go a little too far. And so just knowing that these things are existing, I just think that it's important to learn about it, right? And see how it fits into your business. If it doesn't, then that's okay, but you should still know about it. And just reminding people to just be authentic. Like, all of these things are tools. They're not meant to replace us, what is it? The Lensa app is not meant to replace digital artists or painters, right? It's a resource that can be used in all these different kinds of ways. At least I don't think that's what it's meant for. I don't think it would ever do that. Anything that's generating captions and stuff like that, that's not meant to
Chat GPT.
Oh yeah. I just heard about that when I'm on a waiting list. I just want to see what it is.
Oh, it's free right now.
Oh, okay,
we were playing with it down here
nice
the other day.
See, stuff like that I think is cool. Now, I don't think that it should replace what you do. Like, I write copywriting and captions for Instagram accounts. I'm not going to use that, put something in there, and then go, hey, take it to my. Absolutely not, because the whole point is to be custom, is to be personable. At least the way that I market, right? Like, that inbound marketing is you're building this connection with the person, and you're sharing with them, and you're educating them, and you can't do that with like a cookie cutter kind of situation. You really have to take that time and think about the individual person. But I do think it may be helpful if you got like writer's block and you're trying to figure out a blog and you've done 7 already and you're like, I don't want to, let me put something up there, and that gets it, gets things going, and it's like, oh, okay, all right, boom, thanks, now I'm gonna talk about bop, 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 bop. I think it could be good for that. I haven't tested it yet, but that's how I envision using that particular type of AI. But I don't know, I'm excited about it, but I also think that it's going to get out of hand.
I think so too, because while you're trying to stay authentic, maybe the next person is not being authentic and using this app or this system, and they're kicking out decent work, but that's not them. So I think that's going to be the scary thing down the road, especially when they have free AIs right now. There's no paywall, and you can tell it to do almost anything. You can tell it to write a 20-page book about something, and it'll
and then
kick
sell
it out.
that thing for
and then
$27.
And then sell it. And people they're doing it right now.
Yeah.
They're doing it right now.
They're selling books that they literally had written in 2 seconds.
So that is the scary part. I'm believing in the humans, and that a small group of people will stay true and keep things authentic and find out how to, offer a service that is, and you know what? If everything starts looking the same, those who keep it authentic, keep it real, and keep it personable may become a luxury.
Definitely.
That means you're going to be able to charge more. I'm just saying, it might be a little bit of wiggle room to be like, hey, no, the way we do things is, how it's supposed to be done. We don't use, we don't have a computer type up everything and then give it to you.
Because it's almost a template. At some point, everybody's stuff is going to look cookie cutter. It's going to be the same.
Well, see, I think that's the thing with the AI bot is that it's not a template. It's all unique. So it's not like it's going to different resources and copy and pasting it. It's all very unique. So that's why people are using it, say, to write a paper or a college paper.
Yeah.
There's no system that can verify that, oh, this is plagiarism. No, it's not, because it's not copy and pasting. So that's going to be a problem down the road.
Yeah. People are definitely going to abuse it.
Oh, of course.
Because, people are going to do what they going to be people.
But it's a tool. It's a tool.
Yeah,
it can
but
be
it's
good or bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. It's a tool. I think that eventually people will start to get the hint, because I'm thinking like in the marketing space, let's say I get this AI to type up all of my captions, all of my copywriting. And then I get called in to talk about a particular topic or something like that, and I don't know anything about it because I've been running, computer been doing all of my work. So eventually when you get in front of people, or when like a problem happens or something, it's like, oh, I didn't know the computer said that. Goddamn, my bad. That's when
our computer goes down. They're like, hey, we need some work from you. Like, can't
exactly.
do it.
Now it's
can't
like,
produce.
oh, give me a couple weeks.
That's a good point. The site is down for maintenance and you have a deadline.
Can't produce.
Yep.
You're like,
then you out sick.
Right. I'm on vacation. Gotta get back to you when the computer get back up.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I think at some point something will happen that'll kind of expose those particular people, and either they just gonna keep it going or not. But I like to think that the more people speak out on it, the more they're going to bring awareness to the fact that, hey, this AI technology is here. It's cool, but it also can be used for this. So once you put that awareness out there, people going to be like, wait a minute, let me look at this email and see if let me see if I can figure out if they use AI or not. So we bring awareness to it. I think people, like consumers, will be more aware and start looking for something that identifies like, okay, is this person being authentic? Eventually you're gonna have to, well, maybe not, but depending on your company, you got to meet that person or talk to that person, and be like, wait a minute, it's the same person.
They don't talk the same way that
they write.
Most
people write the same way they talk. You can tell, like, the email. Oh yeah, Tyrone wrote that email
or something. Like, you're like, that wasn't them.
So I think I love it because I think it could be a helpful resource, but I do see a lot of people abusing it, and that's going to be a problem. And it's going to be people like me and others that's going to be exposing it because
they eating off my plate, and you're like, look, I'm about to expose you. You're not eating.
I'm going to be like, well, you can do this, or you can get this over here, nice and customized.
You want McDonald's, or you want
right?
What's up?
No knock on McDonald's, because if you guys want to be a sponsor, well.
So what advice would you give somebody that's just getting into marketing? So I know you got into this space a little bit late. You didn't start off, hey, I want to be into marketing.
Right.
So what advice would you give somebody that wants to do that as a career?
I would say educate yourself as much as you can. If you don't have the finances to, pay for the education, there's a lot of, HubSpot has a lot of amazing free classes. Google has a lot of free certifications. Like, educate yourself as much as you can, and work on your own self, work on your own page and your own brand, and put those things that you learned to play, and then, pay attention to the data and read the analytics and see if it's actually working before you start to charge people and go, hey, I'm good at XYZ. Like, make sure you have your results, because this is such a popular, especially social media managers, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. So people need to see reviews. They need to see work you've done. They need to see case studies. So if you think you want to, or if you want to get into it, I would say educate yourself and work on either your first client, or working on yourself as your first client, so that you can get a case study together to show, okay, this is how things looked. I applied this methodology. I applied these tactics and put in this work, and this is the results that we got. I think people learn a lot about marketing. They jump into the captions and the hashtags and what photos to put up. And I don't think a lot of people pay attention to the data. And that's like the most important thing. What are the numbers saying? When you look at those Instagram analytics and those insights. What are they saying? How are they talking to you? What are the people saying with these numbers? Because that's going to be the best way to measure things and know if something actually works or not. Getting an idea of how long it takes, sometimes it could take 6 months. It just depends before you start seeing what you're looking for. So just kind of testing and learning and just, being honest with people. I'm new to this, but I'd like to work with you on XYZ. Like, just be transparent about that, because I've seen so many people get burned. I worked for a client and their first thing out their mouth was, I done had 10. Wow. Well, I might be exaggerating with the 10, but I done had multiple social media managers and I paid them XYZ and I didn't get what I was looking for. And I was like, whoa, you put me in a position here, because you probably already expected me to fail you. You know what I mean? So it's just being mindful of that.
Can you talk about a success story where, a client came in, you start off here and you went here? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I had a client that actually started as a bartering agreement type of situation, their services for my services. And then eventually we got to a point where it's like, all right, time to pay each other or whatever. And so they weren't as familiar with social media because they were, I'm not gonna say because I'm sure older people know about Instagram too. We might have to cut it out. I don't want to offend no old people. But they weren't very familiar with like Instagram and just social media marketing in general. But they've been in real estate for a really long time, so they definitely understood sales. They definitely understood marketing, especially old school kind of marketing. Click here, buy now, that type of stuff. So they knew their stuff when it came to that, and so they wanted to get into social media. They wanted to get into online space, and at the time, they were doing like some free kind of webinars and stuff, but not any connections where they were able to get any proper leads. And so we worked together. We had some challenges because their style of marketing was a lot older and not very personable. And my style of marketing was, what does the audience, the customer need? What are they looking for? We're talking to them. We're helping them. We're not just saying, buy. Because no one, especially on social media, nobody will see that. They immediately were like, spam, like immediately. So we kind of had, some challenges with that. But again, it's all about the numbers. I'm a numbers person. You ain't got to believe what I say out of my mouth, but you're going to believe these numbers.
2 plus 2 is 4.
Right.
Right.
Right. If we got this many people looking at your webinar and you got 0 before we started this thing, then something is working. And then out of that 5 people, 1 person called you and actually listened to your service. You know what I'm saying? We're on our way to converting. And so that helped me out a lot and kind of proving my point of, I know you want to do things this way, but let me show you what's working. Now, one of the things too, it was like kind of like a conflict resolution thing, was we kept butting heads about something because they didn't want to do it that way, because they didn't think that their audience would like it that way. They're like, my audience is older, they're not with it. And I'm like, okay, well, let's look at the analytics, right? Well, looks like they're paying attention. So what's the real problem? Is it a fear that you're going to look crazy on the internet, or you're not going to look authentic? Let me know what the actual fear is so we can address that, as opposed to keep, butting heads about something. And once we kind of talked it out, we addressed what the actual underlying problem was able to both get on the same page about it and then move forward. And yeah, they were able to get conversions and able to get, I think like before we stopped, they got 2 clients. And I was like, hey, let's do this. Remember when it was at 0? So, just, it was a success story because, well, one, because they got what they were looking for, but also because there were a lot of changes, because there's an age difference. And so there's a difference in understanding of marketing. Like the principles and the basis fundamentals were all the same, but it was how to connect the people that was a little off, as far as how to do it on the online space and what people are expecting now versus maybe what they was expecting when they sat for a 2-hour webinar about something and then paid later. Nobody do that. Some people, that's when you get somebody in a webinar or something where you speaking for 2 hours and they buy stuff, you at a different level, you know what I mean? But in the beginning, you just trying to get people to come in from like your Instagram page.
Right.
You got to get to them, give them the information they looking for.
Fast.
Yeah, because the attention span is like 10,000 things on the damn Instagram.
Right.
So,
right.
But yeah.
So, going back to social media a little bit, there's always this perception about followers. Somebody says, well, I got 50,000 followers. So people's perception is, wow, they're well off. they're selling a lot. But there was an artist, I'm not going to name the artist, but I believe she had a couple million followers, and she only sold 1,000 copies of her album. And a lot, so people, I think, whether it's fans or just people in general, assume that you got 2 million followers, that means you're selling like hotcakes.
Right.
So talk about that a little bit. How important it is to look at conversion of those followers, and understanding that you might not convert 50% of those followers. You may convert 2%,
Right.
but that 2% might be a lot if you have 2 million followers. So talk about that a little bit. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
So yeah, I think it's always important to look at how people are engaging with the content and how they're converting versus how many numbers of because you can pay for followers. There's literally
Right.
companies that you could just pay, get a whole bunch of people up there, and that's fine if this is a popularity contest. But if you're trying to make money, you need these people actually taking action. So if they're just there and they're not doing anything, then you're not going to make any money. You're
Call
not
them
going to.
empty followers.
Yeah, it's kind of silly. So one of the things I like to look at when I see a person, they have like a whole bunch of followers, I like to go to their posts and I'll look at their comments, and I don't really pay attention to the likes that much, but I look at their comments and I'm like, okay, it is at least 10% of these people commenting and engaging with this post.
Okay.
Maybe not this post. Let me try the next one. Let me try the next one. If I get 4 to 5 posts in and it's like 2 comments and you got like thousands and thousands of followers, something's not adding up.
Okay.
Either they just watching you and it's not interesting enough, or you got some fake followers. Whatever it is, it concerns
see
me
that a
because
lot.
yeah, and I'm like, if no one's engaging, then now granted, I can't see all their data. Maybe they're sharing like crazy, and I can't see that piece from the public facing one. But in that comments and seeing how many people are engaging, that's how you get a good idea of if the people that are following are actually rocking with this person and investing in them and what they have to offer. Because yeah, you can have a lot of followers that doesn't equal money, and that's like kind of the first thing I tell people when they come to me. It's like, if you're looking for a bunch of followers, I need to know why, because they don't necessarily convert. If you have a whole bunch of people following you because they like how you look, but none of them like handmade jewelry, then you're doing something wrong, because you're trying to sell handmade jewelry.
Right.
And they don't care about that. They just want to see pictures of you. All right. Well, unless you're selling pictures of yourself, then that's that's not going to work. So it's important to not necessarily look for the quantity, but the quality. I mean, obviously you want more people, as many as you can get, but it has to be very specific people that actually want what it is that you have to offer, that are actually interested or looking to get the information from you. Because if you don't have the right people in your followers, then they're just kind of there. They might like something every so often, but they're never gonna
Not buying anything.
yeah, they're not gonna. You might get some ones that fall in a little bit, like, oh, you know what? I finally did buy one of the bracelets for my wife. But like, that's not how you run a business. You need something more consistent. So I always tell people that you want to make sure you know who you're talking to, who your target audience is, and your target buyers, and reach out to them, engage with them, because those are going to be the ones that are going to become your leads that you can convert and actually make sales with. Versus all of the other random people that just kind of fell in because that one thing they liked, or you paid for something or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah.
And also too, we talked about it a little bit as far as email marketing, but also how social media, we don't own those platforms. So if for some reason the platform gets shut down, do you normally, when you're talking with your clients, do you stress the importance of them having some other form of being able to get to their audience, whether it's a website?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Yes.
sorry.
Yes, absolutely. So I always like to look at social media as it's a great space. You can make money directly from Instagram. Like, people do it all the time. But my recommendation is always use that to get people off of the platform and onto something that you own, like your website, like a text message group, like an email marketing group, or a community, maybe a little, there's, oh gosh, Mighty Network, I think it's called, but like some sort of community that's off of the social media platforms that you own, that you can always be in connection with your people, so that if any of that does happen, you're fine. You still got your people, your money's not messed up, everything's good. So even though again you can make money directly from Instagram, and if that's the easiest for like say for them to manage right now, then I'm like okay, but at the least have a website. It ain't got to be crazy fancy. Get you a Squarespace or something. Make sure they can contact you, book you, see some of your work, boom, because at least you can pull people off and you'll have that website forever as long as you pay, what you need to pay on it. So yeah, I think that that's better, and to look at social media more as a place to connect with your community, to kind of hear what their thoughts are, what they think, to be helpful, and then to bring them off to have a deeper conversation in another space that you actually own.
Got it. And what advice would you have in general for someone that wants to be a full-time entrepreneur?
Ooh,
What would you tell them?
let's go. Let's do it. So here's the thing. Being an entrepreneur is super exciting. I love it. It's taught me a lot about myself personally. I think that if you are ready to take that leap, I say go for it, but make sure that it's something that you want to do and not because everyone's making entrepreneurship look sexy. I ain't at the sexy part yet. The weights, man, it's gonna be great, but no, I'm at the tough part. The building and the putting stuff together kind of thing. So I don't want people to be pressured because that's what everyone's doing. It's like, oh man, I don't want to have to work for nobody. Well, guess what? I work way more now than I ever worked when I was in the government. I'm like, well,
if you had to put a number on it, how many hours do you think you work now compared to the 40 hours you work in the government per week?
So I'm trying to work on this whole like relaxing soft life stuff. So, but what I'm about to tell you is not part of that at all. I'm probably working most of the day. Like I would say I do stuff in between, but probably like 16 hours,
7 days a week?
I take a day off. I take a day
It's
off.
hard to take that day off.
But it's
to turn
hard.
that switch off.
It's hard. And the reason why I work that much is because I need another person or two. And what happens is the administrative work will keep you busy. Like you can go out and go, hey, I'm a great photographer. I'm good at taking photos. But if you're running a business, there's a lot of like behind the scenes background work that needs to be done. There's onboarding documents that need to be put together. There's actual strategies of like funnels that you want to set up to get leads in and convert them. All of that stuff has to be done on the back end. So one, if you're new, you have to learn that stuff, and then you have to build it and apply it to your business. So that can be a lot. The administrative stuff is probably what keeps me up the most. It's just making sure my strategies look good, looking at my sales cycle and figuring out how I can shorten it, doing research on certain surveys and polls that I put out and figuring out what people are looking for. Like that behind the scenes stuff is a lot of work.
And that goes back to why you want a virtual assistant, right?
And that is why I want a virtual assistant. I have 2 people in mind, and I can't wait to get ready to start moving on that this year, because I'm like, listen, that's a lot. It's like, that's a whole job by itself. So it's important if you got the funds and you know you need it and know what's going on in your business, I say go ahead and outsource. But I think everyone should just start by learning the different things they need first before they outsource, because you want to make sure you get the right person and you're not just throwing your money away because you're like, oh, okay, I know I need this, but I don't know what this person actually does, and now you're paying them and you don't even know if they're doing what they're supposed to do or not.
Got it. Right. So okay, so you have the conversation with this person that says they want to jump out here full time. How do you tell them? Let's say they're saying, "Hey, going back, like I said, they sell jewelry, and they say, "Hey, I got this job over here. I'm making X amount of money, but I want to go full time." What kind of advice do you give them to prep before they make that jump?
So I think prep information is always going to be different from person to person. I know people that just jumped out there, balls to the wall. I don't know if I can say that, but it's already said. They just say that. I mean, they just do that, and they did all right. And then others that plan. So I would say definitely if you can put together a little bit of a nest egg, like save some money, do that. Also, really think about how you're going to replace the income that you already have. If you make $60,000 a year, what products and services are you going to offer that could get you? It doesn't mean you're going to get there right away, but you should have that in mind of, okay, how much do I need to sell to make this amount? I did a thing where I audited pretty much my entire budget and how much money I was spending on multiple different things, and figured out, okay, how much do I actually need a month to get by? Like, what's the bare minimum? And that was how much I knew that I would need to make within my business in order to be able to keep going. So definitely get your money together. You don't have to have if you got it, save as much as you can, but just understand what your expenses are. and understand things like, oh, insurance, like you don't have that anymore. Think of the things that you don't have and what you need and how you're going to replace those things. And also talk to people. Talk to people who've already done it and what their experiences are. It's so helpful to hear their point of views, and it also makes it less scary because even though you may hear their ups and downs and some of their dark stories, you know that they're successful. So you're like, oh, okay, so that's what's on the other end. All right, bet I can do that. You know, so that's super helpful. And know what you want to offer and make sure that people actually want it. Because we may be like, yeah, people gonna love this, and then we put it out there and it's like, I'm not getting any bites. Well, did you do a survey? Did you poll your audience? Did you see if they were actually interested in this type of jewelry, or are they more interested in a different style? Like, find out who you're talking to and what they're actually looking for, and make sure there's a need for it for you to fill, because it's just gonna make your job easier than if you figure it out later.
I know recently you were talking about there was like phases you went through, or your friend told you it was the phases you were gonna go through when you jumped out there. What were those phases?
So at first it was exhilarating, like, oh snap, I'm on my own, baby.
Yep.
And then it was like, dang, what the hell do I do with all this time now? You know, so I had to rebuild my discipline and change my entire schedule, because what I learned is that from the first time we go to school up until work, our schedule is usually defined for us. School tells us when we need to be up and out and have our lunch and all this other stuff, and then we go into the workplace, and that tells us when we need to wake up, you know, what time we're on the road to go home, when we should have dinner. All of that stuff is kind of put together, and I've been on that schedule my entire life. So when I had my own free time, I was like, oh snap, well, what do I do with all of this time? And so I gave myself a month. The first month I was like, all right, Coops, enjoy your vacation, just chill, just relax. But after that, we got to get going on what needs to be done. So
I think you find out real quick if you're not disciplined in certain things. Like, it shows. It's going to show its ugly head of, do I sleep past the alarm clock or things like that. So it's going to force you to look in the mirror.
It will. And it definitely did for me. It's like a lot of the bad habits that I had, I didn't realize they were there because, or maybe I did know they were there, but I didn't care because I was still, you know, my check came every 2 weeks and my life was fine. And it wasn't until I had to work for myself, because when you're first starting off, depending on that, if you're in investments or something, that might be a little different. But when you first starting off, if you don't work, you don't eat. Like, that's the beginning phases, right? You gotta
eat what you kill.
Exactly. So it's a whole different kind of mindset, because I could come to work one day, have a bad day, and futz around on the Google for a little bit. I'm still gonna get paid. You know, in that 8 hours, I'm still gonna get it. And so it forced me to take a hard look at some of my bad habits and just work on them and make changes, and also find certain motivators, because you're not always motivated. Like, you think you love photography until it's your job, and then it's like, wait a minute, I don't feel like editing these damn photos. Well, someone paid you to do it, so you need to get it done. So being able to find ways to keep yourself motivated and focused, it's just, that was a phase I had to go through and learn, like, okay, it's different when someone's paying for it versus when you just do it because you feel like it or because you're inspired. So just getting through that. And then the scary part of, oh snap, am I going to make it this month? I don't have enough. I don't, now I got to run around and do this mad dash and figure out how I'm gonna get this and get that. So that was a phase as well. Another phase was having a high month or a high quarter where money just pouring in. I'm like, yeah, oh snap, we doing good. And not planning for the following quarter, thinking that everything gonna look the same again. And it didn't. And I'm like, oh snap, I didn't make any money this month. What the hell's going on? So realizing that you actually need a strategy. You actually need things in place to generate leads for you. Either you're doing it yourself or you have it in some automated system, but those things need to always be happening in the background. Even if you got a high, quarter and you booked out, that's fine. But what's going on while you're working in that quarter, there still needs to be marketing and lead generation going on so that you can make sure there's people in the chamber, so to speak, for the next month. So I learned a lot about being a business owner. Like, when I started, I was a passionate photographer. I was a passionate artist that wanted to make money, but that's not what running a business is about. So I had to learn all the different aspects of that and all the things you have to pay attention to so that you're not stuck going, oh man, I didn't make any money this quarter. How did this happen?
I would say for me, when I went in my first year, I already had money in savings, but like you said, you had those good months and you weren't paying attention to you're going to have a point in the year where things slow down.
Mhm.
So as you probably know, whether it's photography, video, and you're doing event like weddings, that normally slows down at the end of November, and it
Mhm.
doesn't really pick back up until like March.
Right.
So that first year, I didn't really think about that. I'm just going like moseying along, and then December gets there, and I'm like, why is it not busy anymore? And like I said, luckily I had money saved, but I didn't want to touch that money.
Mhm.
And the next year prepared me to prepare. I know that this is going to be the peak months. Those months are going to be slower, so I need to extra prepare. When I have those really hot months, I need to put more in savings, so that way when the slow times come, I'm not stressing out.
Right. Yep. Yep.
And you get better with that as each year comes along. You always prepare. Hey, December and January is right around the corner. Time to
Right.
hustle and get that extra money put away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Time to figure out. I call it the hibernation season. It's like, all right, things are slow. What can I do? I can do trainings. I can recertify. I can do an education series like I'm working on now. Do something that kind of keeps, keep yourself in front of people and offering things of value, even if it's not like your highlight month where you're getting a lot of business.
Right.
So social media is great for that too. You can still, doesn't matter, what the season is, you can still reach out to people and showcase things to them and educate them or entertain them in some sort of way. And that's helpful because those people are watching and maybe they just spent all their money on Christmas, but they're watching what you're doing and they like what you're offering. So, when spring hit, they're going to be like, hey, I've been watching your stuff all winter. I'd like to, purchase. So.
What is one of your most enjoyable projects that you've worked on that you really felt like the most fulfilled? Like, hey, I really helped somebody. Like, but it was also fun at the same time. The most enjoyable project.
Yeah. So I got a few of those. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a fan of my folks because I'm still small, so I'd be like, I can have like a
Very intimate.
Yeah, it's a very intimate connection. So I'm usually a fan of a lot of the people that I work with. I love everything that they do and what they put out there. So it makes my job a lot easier. But I had a shoot a while back with a girlfriend of mine. She has a jewelry business. And oh man, so I show up to the shoot and she was on it. She was like, she was pretty much creative director. I know what I want. I wanted to look like this. I got a mood board. I said, a mood board? I usually do the mood board. It was excellent. And being in there, I don't know how long we were in there for that shoot, but being in there was so much fun. Everyone was relaxed. We were having a good time. The shoot was beautiful. And being able to include her in the shoot and have her tell me what her vision is and then like bring that to life and see that excitement and just like hear kind of her story. And sometimes people get to a point where they're like, this is getting tough and I don't know if I want to do it, and all it takes is a really good photo shoot and some guidance and they're like, oh, I'm back, baby, you know what I mean, I got the game plan now, so on and so forth. So that was probably sort of recent one that is at the highlight of my mind because it was so much fun, and just seeing all the people that came together to make that project happen and knowing that they all believed in her and her work. It was just beautiful to be a part of that whole situation. I felt like I was part of family a little bit. So that was nice. It was great.
So what are some of the resources that you like to tap into as far as like resources to help constantly enrich yourself professionally, personally?
So I'm a huge podcast fan. I listen to a lot of I spend a lot of time on the road. So podcast is just perfect. And one of my favorite podcasts is the Girl CEO podcast. It's run by Ronnie B, and she's amazing from DC. Hey. And it's just such a great place to be inspired and to learn about running a business and learning about sales and marketing and branding. So I definitely would recommend that podcast. It's so great and the energy is always lit.
Where can you find that podcast? Is it YouTube?
So I go on Spotify, but I believe that anywhere that there's a podcast platform, I think you should be able to access the Girl CEO podcast as well. I'm sure Apple. I use Spotify for everything though. And what's another one? Oh, and so I'm also a part of a group called Black Women Photographers, and they have like this. The group is amazing. And I love it because I get to see all this different and diverse work from so many different women from all over the world. I'm always encouraged. So we have like a Slack where all the information and all the community activity goes down. And it just keeps me inspired. There's a lot of collaboration work on there that I get excited about. The company also offers grants, and there's a lot that's done in that space. So if you are a Black woman photographer, check that group out. It's excellent. So that's a great place that I go to. King Ashley Ann on Instagram. She's amazing. I think she's labeled as the business builder. Amazing woman. The content that she gives out for free 99 is crazy. It's so much value, and her process and watching the stuff that she puts out and how helpful it has been to me is the blueprint of how I want my content to be. Like when I give out stuff, especially the free content, I want it to be valuable. I want people to be able to take it, ingest it, and then actually make progress and hit whatever goals they're trying to hit with that. So that way they know, like, oh man, this was just free and I was able to accomplish all this stuff. What if I could dive deeper? What if I could get, another service with this person? I just love that, because, the budget's not always where you want it to be when it comes to training, but it's nice to be able to find people that don't mind sharing good information and processes in ways that you can actually apply right now and actually get progress from. So that's another person I love following on Instagram and joining her live. So that's King Ashley Ann. And then I listen to like a lot of personal podcasts. So like what is it? Oh, Balanced Black Girl is a really good one. So that's more on the personal development side. The Self-Love Fix I love with Beatrice. That's again more on the personal development side. And I do a lot of, I try to mix it up. I try to make sure that I'm educating myself in my field. Like the social media marketing podcast is excellent, but I also want to make sure I'm educating myself on my own personal development and things that I can be building up within myself so that I can just be a well-rounded, awesome human being.
Yep. Any particular books that kind of were influential in the growth of you and your business and personal side?
Oh man, so there is one book, I think it's called How to Build Your Brand Story or Brand Story. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to pull this one up. It's so good. I'm about to read it for a second time.
Yeah, I think the challenge nowadays is just finding the time to read the books because we're always on the go. That's why podcasts are so beneficial. But it's like, well, I want to read the book, but it's like I'm
say,
busy.
oh, I got a 2-hour ride right now. I'm gonna turn this podcast on,
and that's why I use Audible now. So it's like,
okay.
I'll kick that on instead of listening to music sometimes.
Right.
Okay, here it is by Donald Miller, Building a Brand Story, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. Love that book. It does a good job. I think everyone should get it, whether you're in marketing or not. If you're in business and you need to know about marketing and building your story and sharing your story, I think that this is a perfect book for that because it really breaks down the intricacies of what building a brand story is about and how you take your own personal story and you build your brand story from there. And that's how you keep that authenticity, and that's how you kind of bring people in and educate them in a way that's entertaining. Like the easiest way for us to remember things is through story. So this book is amazing. Again, I'm going to be reading it for a second time.
It down in the description.
Yeah,
name of the book.
It's super good. I'm gonna have to pull up Audible to see some of my other books that's not business related because I don't remember.
What kind of books do you read or listen to that's just for pure enjoyment? There's no brain thought, but it's just all enjoyment.
So I'm a sci-fi person.
Okay.
I love me some science fiction novels or some detective
How
whodunit.
sci-fi you going? You going like Star Trek sci-fi?
Oh, I love Star Trek. You kidding me?
You a
It's so
Trekkie.
good. I am. It's so good. It's fantastic. I can't wait to go to space. Part of the millions I'm gonna make is so I can go out there and just be like, I did it.
That's a one-way trip. That's a one-way trip.
Man, they better bring me back.
Elon Musk, you can go to Mars.
Mars is a one-way trip.
One-way trip.
Yeah.
I might just stay there and build a brand. No, I'm kidding. Can you imagine how lit that YouTube page would be? Hey,
Oh,
I'm
my
from
God,
Mars,
yeah.
guys.
But it takes 2 years for the transmission to come back here.
Right.
Oh, wow.
I just get older every time.
Oh,
Every
wow.
time it gets there. But yeah, so I definitely love Star Trek. So sci-fi. Right now I'm reading Parables of a Sower by Octavia Butler. That's been really, really good. So I just like to stay in that space of just something that's going to stretch my brain and entertain me, that has a lot of things that's going to give me visuals. And yeah, those are my favorite kinds of books. I love detective stuff,
Okay.
like whodunit and trying to figure out who killed who or whatever. Oh,
So, do you like
So good.
shows like Dexter then?
what?
Okay,
So
all right.
listen, I just finished the newest Dexter. So they had the
Okay.
first show, and then they released another Dexter show
Yeah, it
called
was
New
a couple
Blood.
of years. It was years in between.
Oh yeah,
my
yeah,
wife
it was a
watches
long
it,
time.
so
Yeah.
I kind of learned from it. And it was like how long was the hiatus? Like 6 years or something?
Yep. And
Yeah.
it was exciting. Oh, so good to watch it come back. I'm a big fan. I like stuff like that because I like the attention to detail and trying to figure out. Like, I love studying like people. That's my thing, which is why marketing is so fun because I like to read the room. I like body language and see why people say the things that they say. I like to understand that stuff. So when you're watching like certain detective and crime shows, you have to be able to see that in the character because I'm also in film, so I like to figure out who done it before they tell me. I'm calculated. I'm not even like, if you're not a film person, you probably not gonna enjoy watching something with me because I'm gonna be like, oh, did you see that over
Oh, you're
there?
gonna describe every little thing, every.
Yeah, it's terrible. You're not gonna enjoy yourself. I'm gonna have a good time, and so I like to try to figure out who done it first. So I like to observe. All right, who said this? Or wait a minute, he said something, but he didn't say that the last time. He's now he's a suspect. So that's the type of stuff I do when I'm watching, and that's why I love those types of movies or shows or books.
Okay.
So what's your all-time favorite movie?
Ooh, that's hard. Can I give you two? Because
Sure.
all time is
Yeah.
tough, man. All right, so the first one is the 5 Heartbeats, all day, every day. I can't help myself. I just
All
so
time,
good.
5 Heartbeats.
All times.
Okay.
How
all
many times
times.
have you watched it?
I watch it once a year. I skipped a year last year. It's getting watched this year.
Does it come on like every week on BET or something?
It probably do. I got it on DVD.
Yeah.
I could probably do a one-woman show of that entire movie because I know all the words, all of them. I'll dance and sing everything. I love that movie so much. And then the second one would have to be, this is a little tough and I may change my mind, but right now it's called The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Oh,
man.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that was actually a book. It was a series.
Yeah.
Always talked about that movie as a kid. I was like, oh, it's tired of hearing. She was always talking about that, and she would watch it over and over and over.
That
She was
thing's
like, there's
good.
little details that you don't pick up, that you
Yes.
pick up every time you watch it.
Yes. The way it was shot, all-star cast, everyone was amazing. The cinematography on that is just gorgeous. Like, I love that movie. So yeah, that's number
premise?
2.
He was like a scammer, right?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay.
He didn't start out that way, honestly. Well, yeah, because I don't want to tell too much in case people, it's old as crap, but in case y'all want to watch it.
It came out like in the mid '90s, if I'm not correct.
I think so.
Sometime
Yeah.
in the '90s.
But yeah, so yeah, a scammer is good. Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's also fun to see how people utilize other people's like blind spots or even shortcomings, right? Or and then like use that as a weapon to be able to do something else. I'm always intrigued as to why people, do certain things. And it helps me pay attention to how I act around people too. I'm like, wait a minute, am I sharing too much information? Is this person gonna take it and then
And use it against you.
and use it against me later? So yeah, so that's number 2 on the list.
What kind of music are you into? And then name, I guess you said 2 movies. You name your 2 favorite albums of all time.
Oh my gosh, I needed to be prepared for this. This is hard. Okay, I'm gonna try my best. As far as music, I listen to everything. Today has been a gospel day.
Okay.
Yesterday, I was listening to trap music.
Okay.
And then, sometimes, well, most of the time I'm listening to like a lot of jazz or like a lot of music from way back in the day. I spend a lot of time in the past when it comes to music for me.
Me too.
Dang, best albums is hard. That's hard.
Or your top 5. Would that make it easier?
Which one stand out the most? How about that?
All right, I'm gonna just go with what's in my head right now. So we talked about Outkast earlier. The Love Below.
Okay.
I know it's Love Below and Speaker Box, but the Love Below was amazing.
Okay.
It was so great. I actually got it as a gift for Valentine's Day, which was excellent. Best Valentine's Day gift I've ever gotten so far. And I've played it so much since, and like to this day, it gets the whole play for me.
So
the
speaker
entire
box
play.
did no play. Love
So
Below
I,
gets the whole play. You
I
got
do,
no scratches on the speaker box.
I do play Speaker Box for some songs. They happen to also have Andre 3000.
Is it because the Love Below feels more like maybe cinematic?
Yes.
It's kind of like
Oh
a
my
film
gosh.
on audio.
Yes.
It's like, well, I gotta listen to the whole thing.
Yes,
to
you
get
get
the full effect.
skits and the actors. I mean, it was just a beautiful piece of art. Like, it was an album, but there were so many other elements going on while I was listening to it. I'm just like, dang, if I was a
What's the top
musician,
song
I
on
want to
there?
do.
Prototype.
Okay, top song. Let me see.
That's your favorite?
No, I'm just saying it was
Oh.
one of those songs in there that's
Oh God.
I would call one of the climaxes of the CD.
Mm-hmm.
So I like I don't know if this was a full song or like kind of what you call maybe like an interlude or something like that. I don't know the terms, but
Oh, I think I know
the
what you're talking
Baby
about.
Take Off Your Cool song.
Yeah.
I was just thinking
Yeah,
that
that
one.
thing
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah. The
smooth.
way
That was smooth. I don't remember the name of the song, forgive me, but the one with Khalees, um Dracula's it was
Yeah.
like Dracula's
Dress
wedding.
Okay.
Yeah, just the theatrics of that was
Yeah.
excellent. The more I listen to it, the more I notice little things in the song. I'm like, oh my
Outkast
god.
has always been great at that. Even like if you go back to like the Tall T-shirt, I don't know if you remember that. It's just
what was that one?
Tall T-shirt was on. Was it
Album that came out like 2000.
not AT Aliens?
No,
But yeah, they always just been great at that. Yeah. So
good.
Oh,
oh,
sorry.
okay, all right. So what's the other top CD or album?
Top
Or if you
that's
can't pick
gotten
an
some
album,
crazy.
you can even pick an artist.
Yeah.
or
Oh,
group.
okay, that's much easier.
Okay.
J. Cole,
Okay.
love.
Okay.
I listen to a lot of J. Cole. Toby Wingate. I hope I'm saying his last name correctly.
Yeah.
Love him. Love his whole family. I mean, I went to their show. I follow them. I be on everybody's Instagram page. I'd be like, oh, it's a new baby. Like I'm just so invested. I'm
I
so
feel like
invested.
every time I go check that page out every couple of months, there's a new kid or something. I'm like, when they have that baby?
I'd be so happy. I'm like, I love it. Like, I love that family so much because I enjoy kind of how they integrate family into what they do. Like, I went to one of his shows and his mom came out, and I was like, what? She's on stage dancing, performing stuff. And I was like, this is excellent. Like, everyone's in there doing something and creating. And that part is super cool. The kids come out on stage, you know, sometimes they'll talk. And it's just like, I love that. If I had a job where I'm traveling and away from my family, I would love to be able to bring them. Even now, like wherever I take the branding and marketing business, like I always want to be able to include my family in that somehow. So that's one of my favorite things that they do. Who else? I love Kid Cudi. I just watched the movie that he had. I think it's called Interstellar or something like that. That was or Intergalactic. I think it's called Intergalactic.
I haven't seen
Anyway.
it. It's on Prime, right? Amazon or something like that.
Yeah, either Amazon or Netflix. Probably Amazon. That was excellent. I enjoyed that. So I love Kid Cudi. Who else? I mean, a Pac fan. We're gonna go take it back. Take it back.
Pac over Biggie.
Oh, that's hard. Yes, because that's just always been like that's just always how it's been. But as I got older and I listened to more Biggie, I was like, okay, I'm enjoying myself and I love this and I understand. I get it. But it just didn't change. Like if I had to choose between the two type of thing, it's always gonna be Tupac. Because for me, I think Brenda's Got a Baby was the second time I like heard a song that made me go like I could see it while I was listening to it. Yeah, and that's when I realized, oh, I like music that tells stories. And even now, when I think about some of my favorite artists and I think about maybe my favorite tracks, it's always the storytelling one. It's like because that's just my favorite thing. I love it when I can see it, especially when it's some real shit, and I'm like, oh my god.
It's crazy when an artist can paint a picture and you can describe it to another person and y'all can kind of see the same picture off of somebody verbally talking about it.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so I love that. Who else am I listening to or continuously listen to? Oh, so there's a guy, Christian Scott Atunde Ajawa. I believe I pronounced that correctly. He is a musician and he plays jazz music. I think he maybe titles his style of music a little bit differently, but it's jazz. He's a younger guy, and his pieces are so good. You definitely have heard. Did you guys watch Luke Cage?
I didn't finish the whole series.
I haven't looked it up, but I'm 100% that intro song is a Christian Scott. Yeah. His pieces are so good. So I love him. Who else? Did I name enough?
Yeah, it's a pretty strong front right there.
Who else am I
Cole,
listening
Pop.
to? I just got finished listening to what's those guys? Not Jed. No, I keep forgetting. But they're from the Dreamfield crew.
I got you.
Okay.
That whole crew.
It is two of them.
What about on the mindless music? I know you said you listen to little trap sometime. What's like some
we
music
call-
you
we
work
call
at?
it
You work
mindless.
out to the
Everybody
mindless.
has
Oh,
a mindless
so-
artist or group that they.
I work out to Megan Thee Stallion all day. Listen, you can't tell me nothing when Megan is on. And I'm at the gym getting my body tight. I'd be like, yes, Megan, tell him. And I'm just in there enjoying
Alter
myself.
ego come out right.
Yes,
Yeah.
give me all the ratchet music when I'm in the gym. Like it gets me going. That and Rihanna. There's a Rihanna album, the Unapologetic album. That gets me going every time I listen to that when I run. And I listen to that whenever I do cardio because it's just, it gets me going.
It's a vibe, right?
Yeah, but it's usually Megan Thee Stallion when I'm in the gym. I was like, because I got to feel cute. I got to remember why I'm doing this, you know? Like, it's awesome.
So,
oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I know you say you work 16-hour days, nonstop, 365, rain, sleep, snow. But outside of that, what else do you get into?
So I'm working on it. I'm working on the balance. But I love to paint and draw and just like create with my hands. So when I'm home, I'll just, sketch out something or paint. I have this one painting I did last year where I finger painted, and I haven't done that since, I'm assuming I did it as a kid because every kid does it. But I had never done it as an adult, and it was so much fun. And I actually liked the piece that came out. I was like, this is pretty dope. So I like to do things with my hands. I'm a tinkerer, is what I like to call it. So like I'll build models like Gundams or like little metal like aircrafts and stuff. I just be like at 1 o'clock in the morning with a magnifying glass, like just working it out. I do enjoy building computers, but I've only built 2. But the 2 times that I did it, I had fun doing that, and I've been thinking about doing another one. I have like a Raspberry Pi Zero, I think, the little tiny one, and I'm like, dang, I could probably build like a tiny computer with this or something. So that's kind of like a future project. But usually stuff with my hands. I like being out in nature. I learned how to fish during the pandemic, and I'm obsessed. So I like fishing, going out on hikes, and just kind of looking at the different kind of trees or plants or mushrooms. There's so many kinds of mushrooms in the world. I'll be so entertained when I'm out there in the wild. So I like doing that. That's how I like to spend a lot of my time.
What kind of fish have you caught?
I've caught spot. I think there was like not croaker. What's that? Poach. Is that one? Yeah, I don't know all the fish. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I've caught at least 3 different ones. Yeah. And I kind of know how to take them off the hook by myself. I did one, but I usually need help because it's kind of gross. But yeah, I just like the peacefulness of being outside and just chilling, and then getting excited when the little thing goes off. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try to pull it up now.
And they be so strong, right? When you try to pull
Yeah,
them
I'm
up,
like, God dang, this about to be
itty-bitty.
right. I'm thinking this will be something huge right home about, and this is this little thing. I'm like, all right, buddy, go on back in there. But yeah, so I like being out in nature. That's important for me. Even now, when I have a busy day, I'm like, go for a walk, go for a run, go explore when I'm driving and I see a random trail in the woods. If I'm by myself, I'll think about stopping. I don't most of the time because it could be dangerous. But if I had another person to car with me, I'm pulling over and we gonna see where that trail go. We gonna hop over that little fence and we gonna walk around and see
like
what's in there.
What's on the what's on the other side of that.
Oh yeah, huge fan.
Just curious about it, exploration.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Helps me find really cool photography locations too.
Oh, yeah.
So I can kind of scout while I'm out there. So it's nice.
It's good that you have that balance that way you can kind of disconnect from technology and realign yourself. So when you come back, you're not overwhelmed and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that your way that you turn? I call it the switch. Is that the way that you turn off that hustle switch? Because I would say, me personally, I have a hard time turning that switch off. I can be on vacation and have a hard time because I'm always thinking business and is this client, like it's to the point where, like, the last trip we went on recently to Florida, I was like, I'm not bringing my laptop this time. I'm not bringing any computer, anything. But I still brought it because I was like, what if an email come through and I can't get to my phone? I need to be able to show a document just in case. Luckily, I didn't have to. So how do you go through? Because I would say for me, my wife helps me with that, is being able to be like, chill out for the day. Like, just turn the switch off. Just relax. Watch TV. How do you actually ramp down? That's what I would call it. How do you ramp down so you can actually just enjoy life?
Yeah, so it can be challenging, I will admit. I'm working on finding that balance, but I do have people in my life, a good support system that will help me and understand that my brain is on 24/7, going a mile, 1,000 miles a minute, and they're like, hey, it's cool. Let's go out and do this. Let's just bring it down. Maybe you don't need your phone today. It can be challenging sometimes because content creation is a big part of my business. So it's like if I'm doing something fun, I'm like, oh, this would be perfect to capture on the internet. So I try to kind of enjoy myself and be present while I'm there, and then go, okay, if there's some downtime, let me get a picture really quick or a short video. Sometimes I don't capture stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff that I don't put out on my Instagram that I would love to share, but I'm too busy enjoying myself that I'm like, can't remember to do this. Eventually there'll be a person that gets paid to just hang out with me and film stuff. But until then, I just really work on being present and turning off. I have like alarms and things on my phone that keeps me locked out of my Instagram for a little bit. I kind of let people know, hey, I know we're out. I'm gonna keep my phone away. If I'm on my phone, I'll like apologize, but I can't put it away. So sometimes, depending on who it is and how close our relationship is, they be like, "Hey, you be present. You're on your phone again." I'm like, "Oh, my bad." So I have a good support system that helps, and just ultimately, I just work on. I'm starting to learn the importance of finding that balance and being in a space where I'm vibrating high and positive, which is the space where I'm the most happiest. So the more joy I bring into my life, and if I continue to be in a space of happiness and not stressed and overwhelmed, the more I can actually move further in life and attract more things to me. And so knowing that, I'm very mindful of setting time aside to just get my spirit right, get my emotions right, and get everything together, because that's just going to make me the best person, which is going to make me an even better business owner and be able to serve my clients better, because I'm not, like stressed out or overworked or anything like that, because I want to make sure I'm always giving good energy, good vibes, very, upbeat and passionate when I'm talking to people. But if I'm too stressed out or burnt out, they're not going to get that from me. So that helps. Thinking about my performance, it's like, okay, you'll perform better if you're more balanced and you're not on empty. So remember to take those breaks.
And
And
is that what helps you keep you motivated on the daily as far as you being able to service your clients?
yes, absolutely. And then it helps. Another thing keeps me motivated is just wanting to be well balanced person. Like, I've been kind of a go work person for a very long time, and it took me to understand the difference between like having a mindset of lack and scarcity, that fear that one day someone's going to take it all away, or there's never enough. I had to kind of reprogram my brain to realize, no, we live in a place of abundance. I am an abundant individual. I can think of plenty of times in my life where I didn't have anything, and then out of nowhere, God provided, and there was resources. So it's like, I've seen it happen, so I know it's to be true, and I just need to keep reminding myself of that, and just going, hey, you don't have to operate from a place of fear and thinking that there's not enough. There's always going to be enough. And knowing that and doing those practices helps me to calm down and take breaks and go, okay, yeah, you could be working, but you could be doing this, and this makes you happy, and happiness makes you vibrate higher, and that brings the money to you. So when you get over there to go work on this, you'll be fulfilled and ready to go, and you can actually handle it in the best way possible.
So I guess where can people find you? So if they want to reach out to you, they need some marketing. What do they
Awesome.
do?
So on Instagram, my Instagram is I am Kiona J. You can reach out there, DM me, or yeah, send me a message through Instagram on I am Kiona J. The J Studios page is jstudios.social. So if you go there, you can follow, and also DM me from there as well. Instagram is not the only platform I use. It's the main one right now for the series that I'm going to be launching this month. But on Facebook, it's also I'm Kiona J on there, and J Studios LLC, I believe, is on Facebook. There's not a Twitter page. It's my personal Twitter page. You're welcome to follow, which I believe is also I'm Kiona J. And then the website is jstudiosllc.com. From there, you can see my portfolio. You can see what I'm working on. Also, you can contact me from there as well. That's probably the best place to go, because that's going to give you the most information about what services I offer, what I'm working on, and probably the easiest way to contact me. But for my Instagram folks, just be on the lookout for an educational series that I'll be releasing on Instagram this month on the basics of like branding and content marketing. It's gonna be fun.
Last question. So, well, for me at least, where do you want to be in 10 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years in the perfect world? I know
Ooh,
you want your community apartment.
yeah.
But thinking bigger, what else?
So I want to, from the real estate standpoint, I want to have a robust investment portfolio, and I want to be 10 years from now being able to educate people on how to pretty much do the same thing. In my personal life, I see myself with my family, husband, my twins. That's what I'm manifesting, guys.
Sounds like a gift and a curse.
Look, I'm getting older, so I'm like one shot,
Twin
just in
boys,
case
twin girls, one of each.
one of each sounds cool, but
Okay.
either one is
Okay.
okay. And just traveling the world. I want to spend most of my time traveling the world and just experiencing different cultures, experiencing different environments, different art, different food, different ways to market. Like international marketing would be excellent. And just ultimately just being at peace, being happy, enjoying my life, laughing all the time, eating tasty food, experiencing amazing things with my family and friends. is really is where I see myself in the next 10 years. Now, how I do that, it could come in many different ways. I want to do more public speaking.
Okay.
I like to be on some stages, which is crazy. It's the first time I said that out loud. I'm actually terrified of being in
Get
front
you
of
on the
people.
TED Talk.
Oh gosh, ooh, my stomach just said, "Poof." But yeah, let's do it. No. But just being able to share my story. I think it's important that we share our stories for the people that are comfortable with doing that, because it's a good way to be a representation and let people know. Especially for me, I want to kind of let people know, like, it doesn't matter where you start, right? Like where you come from or the things that you've experienced. None of that will get in the way of your success and achieving the goals that you want to achieve. So I think that going around and kind of sharing my story would be helpful for other people that may have been in my same situation, or even other children that are currently or teenagers that are currently in the same situation, to be like, hey, it's cool. Take what take your lessons, learn what you got to learn, move how you got to move, but that's not going to stop you from whatever it is you desire to do. You can make that happen. So I'd love to be doing that. I guess while I'm traveling the world, I could be speaking. That'd be a great thing to be able to tie in. And yeah, that's it. Just enjoying my family and friends and seeing all this cool stuff.
Speak that into existence.
Yes, indeed. Let's do it. It's out there.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on today. It's been a pleasure. We hope to have you back in the future. See what updates you have. We know you probably have that apartment by then.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Listen, I'm exploding this room. Guys, guess what?
Yeah. So, like I said, once again, we thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure. We're signing off.
Awesome, excellent. Thank you.